Okay, so my name's Kelsey Deal.
And I'm Paige. Here.
I'm Ashley Hull, Rachel Boyd.
And this is starting an interior architect business in Panama. So this is history in a nutshell. Panama is located in Central America, bordered to the north with the Caribbean Sea, to the south by the Pacific Ocean, to the east by the Republic of Colombia, and the west with the Republic of Costa Rica. The capital is Panama City, in case no one knew that, with a population of 4,162,618. The first Europeans to explore the region were Rodrigo de Pesqueras, Juan de la Cosa, and Vasco Núñez de Balboa, who arrived in 1501 and explored the Atlantic coastal region. The former Spanish colonies in the region were established in 1510 near the Charges River. Now onto some business history. The area that became Panama was part of Colombia until the Panamanians revolted with U.S. support in 1903. In 1904, the United States and Panama signed a treaty that allowed the U.S. to build and operate a canal that traversed Panama. The treaty also gave the U.S. the right to govern a 10-mile-wide canal zone that encompassed the waterway, which was completed in 1914. In 1979, the U.S. transferred control of the canal zone to Panama, and in 1999, transferred control and responsibility for the canal to Panama. Since the U.S. recognized Panama and the treaty formed, there has been a long and sometimes bumpy road between the two countries, starting with consular relations in 1823 and diplomatic relations in 1903 to present. Despite the difficulties, Panama remains one of the largest trading imports and business partners with the U.S. and still has good standing relations, largely to the great geographical location.
The Republic of Panama has a constitutional democracy. There are the 3 branches of government. It's very similar to the United States. We have a president named Juan Carlos Varela. He's the executive branch. He will hold for 5 years. Judicial branch is the Supreme Court, and unlike America, they recommend a 10-year term for their justices, and ours are a lifetime. And then the legislative branch, which is their National Assembly, and there are 71 members of their National Assembly. Again, like America, the climate is relatively stable, except their president does not have a majority in the National Assembly, so he, like our president, can't get anything done. And he's also involved in a bribery scandal, like our president, who has problems. And so it's very similar, the two countries. The crime there is pretty low overall. There are some remote areas like the Mosquito Gulf and the Darien Gap region, which are really remote and jungle-like, and you don't go there. You shouldn't go there. There are drugs and human trafficking in those areas.
Okay, I'm going to go over customs, culture, and business. Couple, and not all, of the customs. When entering a place, whether it's a house, a shop, or just passing by, people are very friendly, and they use the word buenas, even to complete strangers. When in a more formal situation like a meeting, you should use the form buenos dias, which is good morning, or buenas tardes, which is good afternoon or evening. Titles are important as well, so pay attention when making introductions and address people using don for men and doña for women, followed by the surname. When greeting a professional, address them by their professional title. So if they're a doctor, you'll say this is Dr. whatever their name is. Time in Panama seems to be different than other countries. People are very relaxed, and punctuality when meeting friends is not very respected. So they don't get in a hurry. They say they're gonna meet you, just you're gonna wait on them for a while. They'll eventually be there. In case of a very professional meeting, then they're on time. If it's just, hey, I'm gonna come over to your house at 1 o'clock, they might be there at 3.
No.
Lunches tend to be long, 1 or 2 hours, the same as dinners, whether they are for leisure or business. Panamanians are very social people, and they will probably invite you over to their house for lunch or dinner or any activity they're planning to do. If they invite you over, they will refuse to let you pay for anything. If they invite you out to dinner, they're going to pay, but you should always bring a gift to show your gratitude. As a curiosity, Panamanians use their lips to point at things instead of their fingers. They make a gesture similar to a kiss instead of pointing with their fingers.
You're going to have to exit out of the PowerPoint for us to see the video.
Well, hello, it's your beloved auntie. I want to give you 3 points on pointing your lips. That's right. Because first of all, we know that you point your lips in order to get something that you would like. That's the first point. But who wants to use the energy with the fingers and the hands and the arms? It's too much energy. Of course, if you would like something, just say it to the little ones, of course. Over there, give me that one. And it works like a charm. Of course, the second point of why we point our lips is to look slimmer. Of course, you don't have to actually work out these muscles because you will just look slimmer if you just point your lips. And that brings us to point 3. You will look sensual. Your lips will look fuller. You don't have to be like those silly ladies that put that, what you call that, Botox, and they pop up their lips. No. Of course, if you're used to pointing your lips, you will look naturally sensual. So let's stop pointing at each other and point with our lips. This is your auntie with the happy tip of the day. Justin, be sure to wear your happy sleeve.
That was just to throw a little humor to the class. Okay, some things about culture. It's very, very interesting. You can see the sunset on the Atlantic Ocean and the sunrise in the Pacific Ocean only in Panama. It's the only place in the world you can do that. Visit the Panama Canal, the biggest human modern engineering project in the world. It took 30 years and many lives to complete, and it opened in 1914. Carnival is one of the most important festivals in Panama and Latin America. Carnival takes place 40 days before Easter, and the dates change every year. All right, there are a lot of languages. I picked out just a little group that is mostly spoken. The primary language is Spanish, and English is the secondary. But they have all kinds of languages. There's all kinds of people there. See a little bit about fashion. These are pictures of not everyday wear, but festival wear, traditional costumes. The pollera is a traditional costume of Panama woman. They wear it for carnival, folklore events, town festivities. It's received international awards due to its complex design. In view of its cultural importance, Panama celebrates the Pollera Day every year on July 22nd. The monchuno, I think that's how you say it, is the traditional dress worn by men during town festivities. national celebrations, and particularly when performing Panama folk dances, together with black long pants and a straw hat with black lines. Small bag hanging on the left side of the body, and black and white shoes for the men. Now, this picture is a normal sandal that people wear every day for men. The other shoes are for dressing up or everyday wear. If you are planning to conduct business in Panama or visit any public office, it's very important that you wear at least business casual clothes. They care a lot about fashion. As someone going on a vacation or just visiting, you're obviously going to the beach, so you're going to wear your beach wear, and they're going to know that you are a tourist if you go into town in shorts and flip-flops, because they wear business casual all the time. They take pride in their appearance. Even construction workers will look clean and tidy when they leave their workplace. They always clean up and change clothes before they leave. Public offices and the better restaurants will bar entry if you are wearing shorts or beach sandals or tank tops. If you see someone walking about in shorts, they're definitely a tourist. And if you go visit, for women, always take a sweater or a wrap because they keep the air conditioning freezing always. Travel to and from Panama. Just to hit on a couple of requirements that you need. The Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 requires U.S. citizens traveling to Panama to present a valid passport, and you may stay for a maximum of 90 days without a visa, but you must have your passport and a tourist card. Okay, if you're buying property in Panama, there's two types. You get title property or rights of possession. Title property is the same as in the U.S. It's registered in the Panamanian Central Registry, and property taxes are payable. And then the rights of possession is where the land is available under long-term rights granted by the government of Panama for the use of the land. No property taxes are due, and holders of the rights of possession lands must apply for concessions.
Panama's economy is one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America, and that doesn't really say much about the overall pay. People normally only get paid about $1,100 a month as an average monthly income. So with an unemployment rate of 4.7%, they don't have a lot of extra money. So they focus mainly on housing and food and transportation, which a lot of it is like with bus and taxis. And they have these really cool buses that they have taken old school buses and they've painted them all in these really fun colors, and it's their mass transit. Their dollar equals our dollar, but their dollar is called the Panamanian Balboa. They do not print money. I wanted to say that too. They don't print any paper money. They have all coins. It's kind of a way they don't have very much control over the amount of currency that they have, because the US dollar is the most used currency there. And the US has influenced a lot of their economy and their culture. And it's also important to say that a lot of their the Americans that go to Panama to live there live in Panama City. And now that we know about Panama, we want to start a business there. So banking and the law. So they have a national bank that it's called the National Bank of Panama, oversees their banking system. You can get a bank account there as an American, but it's not exactly easy. Only certain banks will give you a bank account, and it's not really what you know or how much money you have, but who you know. The best way to get a bank account without a lot of trouble is to have an agent, which is a lawyer there. There are 3 categories of people trying to get accounts there. There's the Panamanians, the residents there. There's Americans with a cedula, which is a Panamanian identification card, and then there's foreigners who they're not good one. You need a passport, an ID, reference letters. You need bank statements from the last 3 months, evidence of your income, a letter from your agent, your lawyer, and paperwork describing who you are, who your family is, what you do, the type of business you're in, the type of business you want to start. Panama has a civil law system, and to start a business there, you are required to have a registered agent or lawyer to do all of your intermediary stuff between the government and the banks and all of that to get you started. There are international tax laws, and there are authorities for those. The Ministry of Economy and Finance, the Revenue General Office, the Cadastral General Office, and the Customs General. Your company has to be a resident in Panama. So if you incorporate your business, you pay tax, but only on the money you make in Panama. So that's different from the United States. The United States, you pay if you have a corporation in America and it's multinational, you have it all over the world, you pay taxes on all of that if you're in America. But in Panama, say you have a business in Panama, you have a business in America, you are only paying for the taxes on the money you make in Panama. So that's really interesting and good. I like that idea. Let's see, as an employer, you have to pay some taxes. You have payroll taxes, you have a workers' comp insurance premiums, you have real property tax, a social security tax, and stamp duty. There are a lot of different ways you can have a company in Panama, but like America, there are 3 main ways. You have the corporation, the LLC, and the private interest foundation. The most common of those is the corporation. When you want to start a business, you have to pre-register with the ministry. You have to hire a registered agent. You have to notarize articles of incorporation, and you have to be 30 years old. A corporation, it's pretty straightforward as long as you follow certain rules. You have to form your company, you have to get licensure, you have to open your bank account. You have to have about $10,000 in capital to start. And you have to have a minimum of 1 shareholder, and those shareholders, however many you have, are only responsible for their assets and contributions. You also have to get your lawyer, your agent, and you have to have a minimum of 3 directors. Your limited liability company, you have to have a minimum of 2 shareholders, a minimum of 1 administrator, and you have to elect a president, secretary, and treasurer. This is the most attractive option for investors because they are not personally liable for any debts or funds that the company has. And then there's the private interest foundation. It has legal advantages. It takes longer, but you would be exempt from all taxes and contributions. You do have to require a license. You do require a license and tax declarations, but you don't issue any shares like that to others, so you don't have to pay any taxes.
I gave you guys some handouts before the presentation started. It's just to kind of keep up with the graphs that I'm going to go over. Panama has historically served as the crossroads of trade for the Americas. Its strategic location as a bridge between 2 oceans and the meeting of 2 continents made Panama not only a maritime and air transport hub, but also an international trading, banking, and service center. Panama's dollar-based economy offers low inflation in comparison with neighboring countries and 0 foreign exchange risk. Panama's economy is based primarily on a well-developed service sector, accounting for about 75% of the GDP. In addition, this logistical platform has aided the success of the Colon-Free Zone, or the CFC, the second largest in the world after Hong Kong, which has become a vital trading and transshipment center serving the region and the world. The top graph on the right-hand side represents Panama's risk on various business topics in Panama. where the bottom represents Panama's overall score for ease of business for these topics. The following slide will simplify these two broad topics. So the above slide measures the number of procedures, time, cost, and paid and minimum capital requirements for small to medium-sized limited liability companies to start up and formally operate in each economy's largest business city. The upper right-hand graph represents where Panama is ranked out of 190 other countries. It's 79. The graph below that represents the ease of doing business with a score of 66.12% out of 100%. The bottom graph represents where Panama falls in the regional average of Latin America and the Caribbean.
Restrictions in Panama when it comes to jobs. Foreigners cannot become medical or veterinary doctors, attorneys, engineers, architects, or open a retail business. Additionally, foreigners are required to be legal residents for at least 10 years before becoming real estate agents or brokers or insurance brokers. The laws in Panama offer public access to all beaches, oceans, lakes, and rivers in Panama. Unless there is access within 1,000 meters from your property, you must allow public access according to the law.
Okay, so taxes and wages. Panama has a territorial tax system, which is like what Paige said. It exempts all income earned outside of Panama, and it only applies to the residents of Panama and Panamanian companies. The wages, minimum wage is $2 US per hour, but that does, and wages do depend on the location and the job type that people have. Jobs in Panama City usually make more money, and office jobs pay higher than construction jobs usually. Almost every worker is paid on the 15th and 30th of every month, and Panama laws specify daytime workers are employed from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and nighttime workers are employed from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Wages are subject to income tax. If you make less than $11,000 a year, you don't pay any. If you make between $11,000 and $50,000, you pay 15%. And if you make more than $50,000 a year, you pay 25%. Everyone does pay the Social Security tax, which is 9.75%, and an education fund tax, which is 1.25%. Rules of employment for foreigners. In May of 2012, the former president issued a decree, which was the Friendly Nations Decree, allowing citizens of 22 different nations to easily get permanent residence and work permits. Since then, 26 more nations were added to that list. A few of them include Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, New Zealand, and the U.S. To qualify for the visa, the person has to create professional and economic ties, meaning they either they buy an existing business, start a new one, or start working for a Panamanian company. Another requirement is to deposit $5,000 into a Panamanian bank, and $2,000 per spouse or dependent up to 25 years old if they are a full-time student. So imports and exports for Panama. Imported pharmaceuticals, food, and school supplies are exempt from the ITBM tax, which is the added tax to all imports, and they also have an import duty and other handling charges on the imports. Some illegal imports include equipment or instruments to manufacture coins, since Panama only has coins for money. Certain firearms, war materials, foreign lottery or raffle tickets, and opium in the form of gun or for smoking, and also plants, seeds, or animals chosen by the Ministry of Agriculture. Some exports of Panama are refined petroleum, coal, tar, oil, bananas, and passenger and cargo ships. And some of the top export destinations are Ecuador, the Netherlands, the U.S., South Korea, and Mexico. Some main forms of transportation in Panama are airplanes. Panama has excellent airports. Buses and taxis are readily available in urban areas. Taxis have low fares, usually between $2 and $10, depending on the length the government did start a metro system in early of 2014. There is a train on the Atlantic side of the country running from Panama City to Poland, and the train is mostly for container transportation, but it does have limited passenger service. And then, of course, the Panama Canal. And here's a picture of Olivia with her project for school.
My daughter had a different country project, so we did Panama, and we did it last night.
That's all.